Good morning, everybody. I'm going to make episode 1, and I'm going to start this series. It's going to be a podcast type feel, just pretty much everything hunting. So I started out hunting deer primarily with my dad when I was 9 years old. I know it's fairly old for Pennsylvania traditionally. Usually they take them out as soon as they can walk, but I never was one to be quiet or sit still until I was, like I said, 9 years old. That's when Dad finally trusted me to sit still and be quiet long enough for him to succeed in the turkey woods or the deer woods. Now my love is archery and turkey hunting, especially in the spring. Waking up in the morning, listening to those gobbles. It's a different type of feeling than if you haven't done it before. Even if you just go out with a camera, I recommend it just to get that feel of that morning excitement when you hear that first gobble or that first hen clucking in the tree. But without further ado, let's get episode 1 started. So episode 1 is going to be about shed hunting, which is what the people who enjoy the after the season hunt, which right now it's March. So that's when a lot of people are out shed hunting, looking for deer antlers, seeing what ones made it through rifle season. And to piggyback off of shed hunting, locating certain things that you may have hit or missed throughout the season. Now, anybody who may have followed me on YouTube, you know I hit a buck in October in archery, and it was my target buck on my grandma's property, which is where I spend a lot of my time in throughout all seasons. And he was definitely the target buck on the property, just a 2.5-year-old, but for me, I haven't ever killed a buck before until this year in archery. So I just wanted to really get the feel and that pressure of, getting back on him, holding and shooting. And I knew he was a home-bodied deer. I knew he spent a lot of his time in the lower half of my grandma's property, but a lot of my morning pictures were in the upper half, and it's just a 3-acre wood plot with a lot of hickory and oak. And it was October 26th when I shot him, scrape week in Pennsylvania, and I didn't ever recover him. It was 40 yards broadside, kind of caught me off guard. Wasn't seeing any deer in the morning. I shot him at 8:30. That day in particular, it was going to be about 50 degrees around noon. So I knew it wasn't going to sit very long just because of the temperature, and it was a dry summer, so there wasn't much water anywhere on the property. And I knew, if he's around, he's going to be in the lower part, but the wind wasn't right for me to go down there, so I stayed up high. Didn't want to risk bumping anything. So there's kind of the backstory of that deer. And then lastly on the podcast for this episode, I also want to touch on turkeys, just because I was shed hunting with my buddy on Sunday, and we came across a flock of 40, and we didn't know they were gobblers. We thought we heard a gobble when we got out of the car, but we walked up on about 30 hens. We got within about 40 to 50 yards of them, look up, and we see about 10 strutters in the field. So that's going to be the basis of what I'm going to talk about today. And yes, I am driving to work, but it's a straight shot from here on out. So we're going to get to work here in about 15 minutes, but we're going to get through all 3 segments of today's podcast. First things first, shed hunting. I've had a little bit of luck this year. Between my dad and I found 3 and he found 1. One tip that I'm going to give you guys right off the bat, if you are new to shed hunting, is definitely put the sun to your back. If it is sunny outside, put the sun to your back. Don't walk directly in the sun. You can't see the sheds. They don't stick out as well if you're walking into the sun. Put it to your back, or if it's to the side of you, just either quarter of your shoulder. That helps a lot. I found all of my sheds this year with the sun to my back. They stick out a lot better, and I just feel like you have a lot more luck when the sun's behind you. They just pop right out. People that have shed hunted and have been successful understand that. A lot of times when the sun's in your face, everything looks like a leaf, or everything looks like a corn stalk. It's just really difficult to find sheds when the sun is in your face. Now, when shed hunting, they say south-facing slopes, they say food plots, or whatever you might have left of food, and bedding. Couldn't agree more. That is just where I have to focus all my time. You know, you got pines. If you have pine around, look under all the pine trees. If you have thick bedding and there's deer trails going in there, walk the deer trail. You don't necessarily have to blow through all the brushy stuff, because a deer's not going to walk through a bush. They're going to walk around it. So you just stay on your deer trail, follow that, and if you step on one, good. If you don't find one, just keep looking. I mean, it's all luck. If a deer shakes their head walking across the middle of an open field, they're going to drop them there. And you can't do anything about that. You got to focus those high percentage areas. Where are you seeing deer all throughout the season? If they're still there, go to that spot. It's that simple. Now, secondly, Dad and I found a bonus piece when shed hunting, and it was my buck from October in my grandma's property. So I hit him in October, late October, 26th, I think it was, and I had good blood for about 70 yards, and he just walked away, walked straight back the way he came, and I'm like, man, he acts real funny. I mean, when I shot him, he fell over, got right back up, kind of trotted for about 50 to 60 yards, stood there, bled a lot, and then just worked his way off. And I knew that was really, really, really funky. Not a lot of deer that are hit lethal do that. Usually they do the 100-yard dash or 50-yard dash, depending on how good you hit them. But just the way he acted, like it looked like he got hit maybe in the shoulder, or acted like he got hit real weird, and then just, you know, shook it off and walked away. And that's what I thought initially. My dad and I and my cousin looked for about, I don't know, 3 hours, 4 hours. We walked till about noon, covered a lot of ground, looked in all the bedding areas, and went to the nearest creek, because, you know, a lot of deer that get hit and they're hurt real bad, they do tend to go to water and they go downhill. He was doing both of those things. When he got to the bedding area, we grid searched it. We were not on blood anymore. Like I said, 70 yards of blood, and then he walked across a 300-yard field, and it was October, so it wasn't brown yet. Blood wasn't sticking out. We couldn't find anything, and we just went to where we thought he might have gone. Grid searched. I went back out later in the afternoon looking for crows, turkey buzzards, maybe a coyote in the middle of the day, I don't know. But none of those three. No coyotes, no crow, no turkey buzzards. I'm like, well, he's probably still alive. I did go out, walked a different bedding area where he did come out of in August, you know, back when the leaf cover was real heavy. But in October, November, it's real open in there. It's just one of those things where they're going to bed there in the summer times, closer to food, closer to water, certain things like that. But once the leaves come off, they're not going to spend a lot of time in those open woods. So I didn't find him there either. We're going to fast forward to a couple Sundays ago when Dad and I were shed hunting, and I heard Dad go, well, I just found your buck. And I'm like, oh, man, I thought he'd be alive, but I didn't have him on camera after I shot him. But I kind of figured if I got shot at or got hit, but I was still alive, I wouldn't go back to where I just got hurt from. I mean, that's like you're in a fist fight with a guy and you walk away. Next day, he's standing there in the corner and you go back to him and get your ass beat again. That's just not what you would do. You're going to stay away from that area for as long as possible until you feel up and build enough courage to go back there and check out if the danger's still there. That's what I viewed it as. But Dad did find this buck, and it was actually where he's been living throughout the beginning of the summer and into the spring. I had a cell camera down there from May to August, and I had pictures of him almost daily on this cell camera. Why did I not go check where he lived for 5 to 6 months? I checked the bedding areas and the creeks, because if he was dying, that's where he would be. He went right back to his home, his 100-yard circle that he lived in all year long. He went right back there, laid down, and died. And he was in a laying position. We found him there laying dead. He was picked clean from the coyotes and the crows and the turkey buzzards and any other animal that might chew on a dead deer. Picked clean, but he was stiff enough to where he was still in that bedding position. And you hate finding them like that, but I will say it was nice to finally be like, okay, this book is closed. He's gone. It's time to find another buck to chase next year. And I have promised for this upcoming season, have a lot of decent buck on camera that made it through, probably 6 2.5-year-olds that made it through, possibly 1 3.5-year-old, but I can't really tell. It's a trail camera picture. If you only can tell ages if they are a giant or if they're spindly, they're a young buck. But those 2.5, 3.5-year-olds, it's kind of hard to tell the difference of them. But now going on to the third segment of the podcast, turkeys. Like I mentioned before, my buddy and I shed hunted just this past Sunday, 2 days ago, shed hunting. Found the first shed within the first quarter mile. Sun to our back, looking over top, and we found it. In that same field, we saw 4 deer coming up out of this bottom, along with a bunch of turkeys. And again, sun was at our back. That helped us out a lot. We were in the middle of an open hayfield, and these turkeys, we got within 50 yards of them. They had zero clue what we were. They're looking right into the sun. We were both wearing darker colored clothes, but like, I'm 5'10", 200 pounds. My buddy's 5'7", $160. We look nothing like a turkey. I also don't think we look like a deer, but maybe they thought we were a deer. But my buddy had his mouth call in, and we were putting, you know, clucking to them, kind of trying to talk to the hens, because they were speaking. They were vocal. It was nice out. It was 8:30 in the morning. Sun's on them. It did rain that night, so they're drying off. The last thing on their mind is getting walked up on by 2 guys in March. So that's, you know, they're not worried about that. They're worried about eating and, you know, finding spots to possibly have a nest. Which that's going to be coming up here late April is normally when they start thinking about that type of stuff here in Pennsylvania. Because I know season opens usually about the first Saturday in May. So really excited about that. But to stay on top of the topic of turkeys, so anyways, we walked up on them, and there were about 40 hens. And we're like, man, we thought we heard a gobble. Where are the gobblers? On the other side of the field, probably 200 yards away from those hens, all the gobblers are there. And they're all grouped up. We get our binoculars on them, and got 3 of them that are strutting. And the other ones are just kind of looking around like, okay, which one am I going to be able to beat out for that next best spot? Because obviously the 3 strutters, they were big gobblers, and they're probably going to get the 3 best spots, you know, top of the knoll here, top of the knoll there, and the other side of the mountain over here. The other ones, those 2-year-olds or those jakes even, they're probably just going to be roamers. They're going to be your satellite birds that you're going to hear, you know, 2 gobbles over there. Okay, there's a couple jakes. Oh, there's that 2-year-old gobbler. Probably could go kill him easily in May. But right now they're all grouped up. They're looking for food. They're helping each other out. And they're not really grouping up together. You know, males are over here, females are over there, and that's just how the turkey world works anytime other than May. Once it's May, it's everything off the table. These birds are going to do whatever they want. And that's just how it works. So I just wanted to touch base with you guys. Let me know your thoughts on the podcast. I know probably not the greatest setting for it, but I don't know. We will see you guys later. I'm going to think of another thing to do for episode 2. I might just do a little like recap of my deer season. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.